on the basis that I think option 2 does give legal credence to what the owners want to do, no different from selling the land as it is, which means for us there's no change in boundaries. The owner has no cost in changing anything, and the trees and all that everything remains as it is, and obviously as it has been used for the last 30-something years. And that's why I'm speaking against.
Okay. Speaking against the motion still?
Yes, speaking against it. I just think, given the historical nature of this, it places a significant undue and unnecessary cost on the property owner, and I think public access and amenity is maintained under the existing situation with a right of easement.
You want to speak again?
Can I just add one other thing? Because what did concern me too was the fact that council obviously gave building consent to the garage when it should never have done so.
Retrospectively, probably correct, but we're not here to judge things that happened in the 70s. But retrospectively, probably correct. Councillor Craig?
You're making some assumptions. If you look at the picture there, on the other picture, there's no one that could put that one there. There's no one that's that boundary. There's no one that's the other side. There's no one really that's going to be affected by putting an easement there. And I think we're talking about, what are we talking about? Square metre of land are we talking about here?
It's 129 square metres approximately.
129 square
Not 1 square metre.
Yeah, it's quite a bit of land.
Okay, well now, okay, does anybody want to speak for the motion before I put it? Because that's standing orders. You're going to speak for the motion.
Could I just make a point? At the moment, the driveway, the physical driveway, is separated from the access way by a row of trees.
Yes.
Now, those trees belong to council. They were planted by a previous property owner on council's recommendation that he should put some trees down there to separate the driveway from the reserve and make it look like it was part of his property. I don't think that's the sort of advice we'd give nowadays, but
I don't know when that must have been. That must have been in the county days, Alison.
It was in the county days.
We weren't blaming you, Councillor.
And the point is.
But the point is that if council retains ownership of that part of the reserve, with the easement granted over to allow access, then we retain control over those trees. Now, if we wish to, we could have them removed to give the reserve a wider appearance next to the access way, so that when people are walking down that pathway, they're not feeling hemmed in by the trees. So we could take them out and open it up. If we were to sell that land, then we lose control of the trees. The new owner could still cut them all down, but put up a 6-foot fence on the boundary, so that suddenly the access way is hemmed in on both sides by tall fences. So that is something that I think you need to consider if you're looking at selling the property, is that we lose control of it and the boundary suddenly shifts very much closer to the footpath.
And you lose the cost of ownership of them as well.
The cost of
Well, if they're not ours, we don't maintain them anymore and look after them.
We don't do anything to them now.
Okay. I've got a motion today. I've asked. You've got a motion on the floor. One was lost. I asked for people to speak against the motion. Now I'm still in the against the motion.
You moved to 4, sir.
Okay. Okay. You might be right. We'll consider against as done. I'm now speaking for the motion.
For the motion, I think going back to Terry was there, and she said when they did buy the property, they knew there was options. They didn't know which option they were going to choose, and so I think that we are choosing the option for her. It's up to her if she carries on with it. So I think there was always going to be a cost to the. They always knew some cost, Rob, was going to come to them if they had to do any option. So this is preferred for tidy up for future generations. I like the sale.
Are you speaking for the motion?
Well, kind of. Can we just go back to that original first one of the plan? I mean, my ideal option, I'm for the option of the sale of the land, but only the necessary part of the land. I still like to retain the reserve, because I'm one that don't believe in selling our reserves for one reason or another. But the sale of it is just that part, so we can then get comfortably in and out of them, I appreciate that Terry's now built a fenceway, which is going to be an added extra cost, because then would you want your fenceway on your boundary rather than, you know, kind of then you'd have to take down some of your fence to get that driveway into there. Because to me, whether it's in the past or the council letting this get through a building consent coming through, I still believe that we just need to allocate that amount there to sell. So that's where I'd like to come from.
So Your Worship, through what Mike's just said, do we just need to add a further clause referring to only the, how can I put it, only the required amount of land be sold for access to the garage?
Minimum requirement to get access to the garage.
To get access to the garage. Do you think, would that satisfy you, Mike?
That's how I feel, because the first part of the driveway is actually on the property.
Is on the property.
The sticking part is that they have put up a fence line, which is going to be an added extra cost, because the driveway then is have to go through the fence line. Because I presume, Terry, the fence line goes now right down to the boundary of where the car comes in to the garage, does it?
So I guess what I'm hearing here, and this is getting a little bit out of hand, but what I'm hearing here is if we put this motion to sell them the land, and that motion was won, could that boundary line be shifted so we retain our trees and still allow them to have access in? So then they wouldn't be able to go and chop down our trees.
Possibly.
Your Worship, looking at those photographs, I actually think those trees are on...
How do they get into the garage now with the trees there?
Are on the reserve. Not all of them. At the start, it looks as though it is.
Goes up to here, and that point there is actually the boundary. It's right, it's meant to be in the middle. So anything, this side is ours, and that's not yours.
Oh, okay.
So they're your trees anyway?
No.
They were planted by the previous owner, and he maintained the upkeep, and we continue to do that.
Only the ones at the very beginning are.
Okay, can this motion be put to sell the land to them, but put... Yeah, we'll have to go back to Barry for an amendment, I realise that. But I was still going to ask the question of staff, can the boundary line be shifted so it doesn't include ownership of the trees and still allow these people to get fair and reasonable access to their garage? It's just a simple question.
It doesn't give them a lot of room between the...
So then you're telling me they'd have to chop down the trees then?
Whether or not that's approved on a subdivision, because there's minimum driveway sizes and...
Would it
would be possible to retain the majority of trees within the reserve.
Would it be better if I adjourned this item to the next council meeting for more information?
Well, at the end of the day, I think the detail is going to come out after the public consultation occurs. There's going to need to be a proposal that is put out to the public that they have an opportunity to support or object to, and any of these niggly little details can be sorted out as a result of those submissions.
Councillor Downard?
If that's the case, then can we put two options to the public consultation, and then we decide when it comes back whether it's going to be the easement or...
You might be causing undue necessary expense on people. The more, I'm not sure, but Mr. Green has just been over my shoulder here to say that if the motion went through to sell the piece of land, he's pretty sure, working with the landowner, the lady in the back of the room, that it could rejig it to not affect the trees as being mentioned here by people.
I think the mover of the resolution, being Councillor Hickling, talked about the minimum land possible. So if that works out that we can get it smaller than what's shown on the plan at the moment, on that previous photo, then all well and good. Otherwise, if it for whatever reason, technical reason, that a subdivision, the driveway needs to be a certain minimum width and things like that, if it works out at that, but we've exhausted all the other options, then so be it. If that's the only option.
So you're the mover of the motion. Are you? Would that motion have to be changed, amended?
I think the mover has already amended it.
We've already. Could we read out what our amendments were, please, Dina?
Okay, Council approves in principle the sale of part of Marina Terrace Recreation Reserve, a minimum requirement to access the garage on number 29 Irving Place, Strucks Offices, etc.
And the owner covers all costs.
Yep.
I'm still happy with it.
And who seconded it? You seconded it. Are you happy with that amendment? Okay, Ms. Frawley, do you really need to?
I just wanted to remove the reference to Section 119 of the Reserves Act, because without having the Act in front of me, I'm not entirely sure that that's still applicable if we're revoking. Revoking and
in
selling.
accordance with the Reserves Act 1977.
Okay,
Yeah.
mover and seconder happy again?
Yep.
Okay. I'll put that motion to the floor. All those in favour, hands up please.
Aye.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Carried. Oh, and those against, sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4. And 4 against. Okay then, so thank you very much, and I hope that works out for the landowner and for the council. Perhaps it won't be 129 square metres, it might be a little bit less, but then there'll be less cost as well. So hopefully it's a win-win for everybody. And we'll now break for 15 or 10 minutes. We only need 10 minutes, team. And we'll adjourn for 10 minutes and have a quick